Hello, welcome along. Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. And here we are now with part 3 of the Lancaster Bomber Revisited build. Basically what we're doing here, we're going back through the build again. We've done the build all out of the packets, so not changed anything. And now we're going to go and add a few little modifications, change a bit of the build sequence around, and start to make some changes to the modelling colour and everything. So this is pack 3, well this is part 3, and in this one we're going to be looking at pack 3 and pack 4, and these are the magazines that come with them. I'm not going to go through the magazines again, we're just going to look at the build instructions. If you want to see what's in the magazines, you can go back and look at my playlist, the ordinary one where it doesn't say revisited, and that is the standard build straight out of the packet. What I'm going to do going forward from part 15 onwards, I will do it as per out of the box, out of the packet if you like, and then go back and do it revisited. So if you want to join in with me and build one of these, you can do so by going on that QR code on the screen there on the right, or you can visit the website at the bottom and you can subscribe there. Part 1 is only $1.99, and then you'll get part 2 free, and then from there on it's $10.99 per part. You will get free gifts as you go, and if you want to see what those gifts are, go and have a look back through my builds from part 1 all the way up to part 14 as of today. Today being the 24th of April 2024. We're up to part 14 inclusive, and you can see the standard build there. So right, so in part 3, or in pack 3, we got the cockpit floor, we've got the nose there, we've got some screws, some glazing, a nose blister and some more glazing there. And then with the instructions we're going straight into not using any of that, and we're going to be using parts remaining from part 2. So what I need for this is, and I'm completely and utterly unprepared like a silly Billy. Here we go. No, it is that one I need. I had it here, I thought I didn't. Here it is, so you can see I've repainted this green. And as you can see here, we're going to be using that. And we've got this bomb aimers panel from part 2, which is going to be glued into there, like so. Okay, I'm not going to glue it in right now because I'm going to paint it first. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to repaint it in a sort of slightly darker colour. And the reason I need to do that is I've gone round and I've just lightly sanded the edges because they had a sprue nib and a little bit of flash around the edges. So I'm just doing that, and then I'm going to go round and I'm going to spray them with Tamiya LP65, which is rubber black. You could use XF85, I think it is, rubber black, if you don't want to use lacquer paints, but there we go. So we'll do that, and we'll do a bit of dry brushing and a bit of detail painting on there, so that'll look lovely. And then we'll get that fitted in there. The windows are already in, as you can see here. That window is already fitted and it's been masked off, and we've sprayed inside there green as well. As the model comes, it's black. Here they're telling you to fit this antenna. Don't do that, it's daft. It's just going to get broken off. So put it in a little bag. I've got my little takeaway curry pot here, and I've got all my bits and pieces, and we can see there's a bag. I've got 2 of these, so we've got 2 pitot tubes and 2 antenna in there ready to go on. Put them on once it's up on a stand and everything. If you put them on now, you know, every time you put this down it's going to get broken off, so don't do it. Right, so that's that taken care of. We will come back to that and fit that. We've already done the windows, so that's it. Then moving on, we're going to be looking at the glazing. So we've got the glazing here, which is fitted. I've also gone on and done, which in the next part I believe it is, we have these bits in here fitted. So we may as well leave them in. That's going to keep falling out because it's not glued in, so I'm going to put that over there out of the way, that piece of armour plating. But we've got the side pieces glued in. Make sure they go in the right way around. Go back and have a look at part 3 if you want to see how that's all done. But there we are, so that's that. I've also gone around this frame and blacked everything out. If you want to go back and have a look, you can see how I've done it, and that's all basically blacked out so we don't get that shiny chrome edge. If we go back and look at part 2, you'll see how I did it on the turret. So we had to get that screwed in, that's already done. We had to get those glued in, that's already done. Now we've got to put the nose part on with a BP screw. So I've got the nose part here, wherever it may be. Where is it? Here it's here. You can see now we've got the turret from part 2, which is all been painted up all nice in the green and silver with the brown on the top. So that's there. We're keeping that in a bag so it doesn't get damaged. And then here's the nose piece. We'll put that back in the bag. And here's the nose piece, again with the interior painted green. As you can see at the model it comes black. So we need a BP screw, so we'll get those two bits off of there. We will find a BP screw. I've got all my screws in their numbered bags, or their lettered bags should I say. That's a CP, that's a BM, that's a DP, AP, BP there. I knew it would be the last ones I look at. Always makes me laugh. People say it's the last one you do, isn't it? It's always the last place you look. Of course it is, because you don't carry on looking after you've found it. But in this case, it's a case of it was the last ones I looked at. So we've got a BP screw there. So that is simply going to go on the end of our magnetic screwdriver. This is going to pop into here like that. Okay, so that's going to fit like that, and then this is going to screw into there, just like so. Don't over tighten it because the clear piece will crack. Doesn't need to be graunched down. You just really want to get it down. If you wanted to, you could glue it around the sides, but we'll see how it fits with the rest of the model first. So that's that glued on. You can see we've already got these washer jets in, the de-icer jets. They come in the next part, I believe. So, but they're already in. So that's that. So that's part 3 taken care of. So what we're going to do, I might go around and paint the inside of this, although I doubt it because all this is covered up anyway. But there we go. So that's part 3 taken care of. Other than actually painting this and dry brushing it and everything, the detail painting it, that's it. As you can see, part 4 is getting very busy, and here's the pack. This is pack 4, and this is all new and untouched. Okay, so there we go. So we first of all, we'll check all the parts, as you know all that already. So looking in here, the first thing we're going to do is add this side panel to the console. To the pedestal. I want to repaint that pedestal because the top should be black and the side should be the interior green colour. I want to repaint this before I fit any of these panels, so we've got that in that packet there. I want to repaint that, so that's going to have to be painted green. I want to repaint the cockpit floor. I want to add that and get rid of the joint. So what we can do is get this pack open. We can get that piece out. Okay, and we can take our cockpit floor, we can see how that fits. Now you can see on here that it's got quite a step, and I want to get rid of that step. So I'm looking on here and I can see we've got some raised metal around those edges. So let's see if I can get in here with a 3mm burr, just clean off those raised edges. We don't have any ejector pin marks stopping it going down. Okay, so it's not going down completely flush. So we've got to find out what is actually stopping it going down flush. Is it the floor? And I don't think it is, because if I put the floor like that, I can feel that it's quite flush. So it must be the length of the pins. There's also, I can see on the back here, there's a sprue nib on the back there. Let me put the light on. I don't have the light on, we've got the magazines out, but you can see on there, there is a sprue nib. So we'll sand that off. Get rid of that. That might help. It's still not going down flush. So what I'm going to do is get my cutters. I'm just going to remove some of this pin. Okay, just going to take a slither off the top. See if that helps. Nope. Okay, so all I can do now is take a coarse sanding stick, like this one here. Sorry about the marks on my arms, guys. This is some psoriasis. It is being dealt with and it is clearing up. It just looks horrible. When I put the ointments on, it makes it all glow bright red, so it looks awful. So you can see where we're sanding, we've got a raised edge around those holes. That's very interesting. So that won't be helping. So we're getting better, getting much better actually. It's actually leaning forward, it's sort of going on like that, whereas it should be dead flat. So this is designed to be super glued in. So what I'm going to do is grab some of my cheap super glue, because I've got loads of it here. I'm going to put plenty on. I keep it in a Pringles lid. I put too much in here earlier on something else I was working on. So I'm going to put plenty on here. The reason for that is I'm going to be using super glue as a filler, so I can get rid of the lines around the around this piece. So that can go down in there. You can push that down in nice and firm. I'm going to get this super glue out of the way. I'm going to grab a straight edge so I can look at it and see that that floor is flat, not sitting down on an angle. So we can see there that it's gone down. It's practically flush and it's practically flat, so that's good. So what we can do now is take some of our, I'm going to use my black super glue. Where is it, the ordinary black? Here's the black, this is the VMS stuff. I'll grab another Pringles lid. We'll get this clear parts out of the way in case we start splashing glue around. So we'll get some of that on there. And then what I can do is grab my glue applicator, and we're going to put plenty down in here, and that is basically going to fill that big gap around there. Now it doesn't really matter going all the way across because it's underneath the pedestal, so it's not going to be seen. Okay, so I just want to fill that bit there. We'll put some in the side there as well. And I think we'll put some under here just for a bit of added strength, just in case I drop it or something during the build. There we go. Okay, so that's that in. In fact, I think what we will do, we will go right across because I can see daylight through there. And if we're going to have LED lights inside the cockpit, which I believe we are, when you look at the bomb bay, you're going to see daylight because you'll see the lights. Got a hard piece of super glue there, but get rid of that. Go away, hard piece of super glue, we don't want you. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. I tend not to use accelerators on super glue because it makes it shrink. And it can also make it very brittle, especially the cheap super glues become very brittle when you start using accelerators. So I'll grab a cotton bud, I think. Just wipe away the excess from there. We're going to be painting all this, so it doesn't matter what sort of mess we make of it. So there we are. So that's our first step done. So that's glued together. As I say, we're not going to fit that panel, we're not going to fit these. We fitted that. I think, what else are we doing in step 4? I think that might be it. No, it's not. We're going to fit that knee cushion, or chest cushion there. And then we've got some windows to go in the side here. We'll get those blacked out and fitted in. They're going to be in that box. We've got these panels here to put in, which I took out earlier. And we've got those glycol sprayers there that are already in there. They're already in the nose. So that's part 4 taken care of. So I'm going to go and get some painting done, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, sorry guys, I don't know what I was thinking there. So I'm going to get some painting done. Of course I need to get all these bits off, don't I? So what I'm going to do is grab my, this is a piece of corrugated cardboard which is rolled up and then taped, and that becomes a great stand. And I've got these little clamps here, they're great for holding parts, so I'm going to put that on there to hold that one for painting. Now here we've got our parts from number 4. So there's our pedestal there. So this is going to go to the outside, this is going to be up against the side of the cockpit. All the around here is going to be green, and this top area is going to be painted black. So what we'll do is we'll paint that black first, and then we'll mask off the top and paint the green. The reason I'm doing that is because it's easier to mask the top than the sides. First thing I'm going to do is go around and just check I've got no sticky outy bits. There's a rough bit of plastic there. Okay, just making sure we've got no little moulded edges sticking out or anything. Just make sure we're good. Alright, so there we go. Just going to sand over the top there. So we're good to go. So I can take one of my, these are like a little pointed shaft. I can stick that on there, and that'll hold that for painting. We've got this side panel here, which, yes, it has a sprue nib on the back there, I think. So we'll sand that off, get rid of that. May as well sand the top to clean that up as well. And that's good to go. And what I'm going to do is just sand across the back here, because I know this is a very, very tight fit. Just going to check that fit. So there we go, that's a lot better. Once we put more paint, it's going to be even harder to push in. But now we can just slot it in, bit of glue from behind, job done. Careful dropping bits, Nige. So we'll put that in there, that'll stay on there. This, I think we'll repaint that because I've sanded the edges. When you sand it, this is lighter grey plastic underneath. It's only slightly lighter. So, in fact, I'll hold it on that tab, one because it's bigger, and two, it will be hidden by the seat. So that's ready to go. We've got all these little panels here. So we've got 04M, this one here. And you can see this one's got like a bit of mould flash around the edge, so just lightly sand that off. This is not a criticism of Hachette in any way whatsoever. I'm currently working on a Das Work kit, which is a brand new 2024 tooling, and it is covered in flashes on every edge. So it's not, you know, it's just, it goes with the territory. It's unfortunately a result of moulding. Mould seams. It's because the edge of the tool is on the edge of the part, so it's a mould seam, it's not flash. So there's that one that can get painted. We've got 04E. Where's my tweezers? Here they are. 04E, is that 04E? It certainly looks like it, doesn't it? And that is going to have a green shelf, I think. Now we have a sprue nib on there, so we're going to sand that off. Okay, and that's going to go into a D-shaped hole there. So that's the top there, so we want to make sure that's nice and flat. Get the coarser stick on it first of all, just to remove. Just remove the material a little bit faster. There we go. Okay, then we can hold that again in one of my little clamps, and we'll get that painted. We'll detail paint all of these little parts, and I may use some decals on them as gauges to enhance their look. And then we've got this little part here. This is the cable reel for the trailing antenna. We've got a sprue nib on the side of there, so get rid of that. The rest of it's all good. Grab another clamp and we'll clamp that up and we'll get that one painted as well. The only reason I'm painting them is because I want to make them darker. At the moment they're perfectly good colour, but it's just the darker, slightly darker, and also where I've sanded them you get the grey, the dark grey plastic show through. So that's all that there. Then we've got this here. We're not going to do anything with the parachute. We've got this one here. This is going to have to be green. Now that one doesn't need any clean. Yes, it does. There's a sprue nib on the top, or a sprue gate, should I say. So we'll sand that off. There we go. And then we can just hold that on one of those pins, because those pins are going to go down into the floor, so they'll be hidden. So we'll paint that green. In fact, I'll hold it on the bigger pin just in case. So that's going to be painted green. Then we've got that floor section which we've already done, and then we're going over the page. Now then, this piece here is already green inside, but it's the darker green. I want it lighter. You can see the difference in the colour. Okay, so I want it lighter. This interior green is too dark, and everybody uses the same colour, and I personally think it's too dark. So we've got these windows here, and as you can see, I've already gone round with the black pen, and that is done to remove the chrome shiny edge that you get. So that's already done. There is a little tiny sprue gate on top of there, so we're going to get rid of that. There we are. We're going to glue these into position. So we've got this one here, goes in there. We've got that one there. I expect this one's got a sprue gate on the top. Yes, it has. So that's going to go into there. Okay, so that's done like that. Now then, on these, I can see I haven't cleaned them off. I've got ink. So I'm just going to grab a drop of IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and a cotton bud. Just moisten the cotton bud, and then we can remove that one's got a great big scratch in it. I've managed to scratch that somehow. I might see if I've got a spare one. There we go, that's gone like that. We've got the black all the way around the edge, so that's looking great. There we are. So there we are. I'm going to see if I've got a spare one of those in my other kit. In fact, if I have, it should be in here. I don't think I have. I've probably glued it in. That's unfortunate, because that one's got a scratch in it and the other one hasn't got the black around the edge. Back in a sec. Okay, that was lucky. I managed to get it off. It was glued on with ultra glue, but I only used a tiny drop, and I managed to just sort of tweak it and lever it and pull it about. So I can show you what I mean now. When you look at this glazing, when you look at it on an angle, you can see this edge across the bottom, and just touching my finger, you see it's got like a chrome line in it where it's all reflecting. So what I do is come along with the black pen and just go around the edge of the clear part, and then it gives you that black edge rather than the shiny chrome edge, which is a lot nicer to use. There we go. And now you can see you've lost that chrome edge, you have nothing there at all. It's not even a black edge, it's just nothing there. So there we are, so that's that done. So these can be glued in. That one's going to go in there, that one's going to go in there, and then what we'll do is we'll mask them up just like we did with the nose. And what we will do is paint around the outside edge green. So we'll have to mask up the outside as well. We shall see about that. In fact, I may leave it black. I may leave that black. We shall see. I may even go around it some more with a pen. So we're going to get those glued in and then let that glue dry. So I'm not using super glue on them, I'm going to use ultra glue. So I've got my Big Ammo ultra glue here. Get the lid off. Grab a cocktail stick and whatever you guess there. I was going to say whatever you need when there isn't one about, but there was. And then we can take that window out of there, take that window out of there. Get our ultra glue in. It doesn't need a lot. I mean, it took me a hell of a lot of work to get that one out just now, so. There we go. And then that could go in there. That could go in there. Just give them a little push down. And if you just want to make it look a bit prettier, what you can do is come along with your ultra glue and go around the outside. Just to fill that gap in. Just like that. And then we could go over with the wet cotton bud in a minute and remove any excess, and that'll also have the effect of sealing it in and making it a really strong bond. Okay, and we can also go over those pins as well. And I'll get rid of those marks too when the glue dries. Oh dear, here we go. Here we go, dog barks at dawn. Here we are, so we can leave that for a minute or so and then go over the cotton bud, a moistened cotton bud. And that'll clean that up lovely. Take my paper towel, get rid of the excess on that stick. Grab a cotton bud and just wipe over and remove the excess. Just like so, get it wet and it'll take it all off. It's quite warm here today, so it's drying very fast. But if we get it wet, it will if we get the cotton bud properly wet, we'll put some water in here. I'll mop that up easy. Just like that. There we go. You can't see it because it's clear, but it's all glued in there and it's all nice and solid, and we don't have those horrible shiny chrome edges on there. So that's that done. I'm going to go and check that we've got the other side, because I may as well get the other side done at the same time while we're painting. There's no point in doing all of this twice. So that's those glued in. We're going to be painting this. We're not even touching that bit yet, are we? Yes, we are. So we'll be painting that, painting that, painting that, and that's it. So now I guess we need to look at what's coming in part 5. Okay, I've just had a look at part 5 or pack 5. That's going to be a whole video on its own. There's a lot of work we're doing in that one. So I'm going to get these bits painted, as I said, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to paint all of these little bits black, except for the parachute holder. I'm going to spray the top of this one black, let that dry, mask it off, and then go around the sides of that green. We're going to paint the parachute holder green. We're going to paint all of this green after we've masked the windows, and we're going to let this dry and rub it down. You can see that super glue is still soft. As you can see, it sinks down into the seam, so we'll have to put another application on. It's only this area here I'm worried about being nice and flush. I want it to look nice and flat. I don't want to see that great big gap when we look down into the cockpit. So we'll let that dry, sand it back. I'll be back in a minute once I've got some painting done. I'll see you in a second. Just before I do any painting, I've just been remembering, up in, I think it was pack 13, 12 or 13, they ask you to fit this framework. This is the camera protection. This is to stop the, well, it's actually the frame the camera hangs on, but they left it there to stop the guys kicking the light, the downward looking light. This is where the light goes. The light comes with pack 3 or 4, is it 4? Yes, 4. And what they want you to do is, when all the sides are on and everything, they want you to basically put this light into here. Okay, so you imagine you've got the wiring coming up there, going into a hole. So they want you to put that light in there, which is really difficult. Okay, and then they want you to fit this frame over the top. Now, bearing in mind we've got all the interior is in the way. You've got the cockpit here, you've got the sidewall on here, you've got the seat in there. It's all very difficult. So what I suggested when I did that, I want to actually fit this now and then fit the light afterwards. And I'm sure, just playing with this now, I'm sure I can get that to go in there, and then that light will literally clip in because it's plastic, and I swear I can get that in there into that hole and then clip the back in when it's all glued up solid. I think it's worth a gamble because it's really difficult to put in. I haven't watched anybody else's build do that bit. I'll have to go and have a look at building with the boys, see what Scott's done. But it really is awkward, so I'd rather do that now. I think it'll make life a lot easier. We also want to make sure that this part here is going to fit. So that's not going fully down into the hole there, and I don't know why. You see, even now with nothing in the way, it's just awkward, especially when you've got the light and the cable and everything there as well. Okay, so what's happening there is this, they've carried on that line down there. We just need to basically remove a bit of plastic from there. It's very hard. Be very careful because the knife will suddenly go because it's hard, and you will cut yourself very easily. So I just want to basically remove material from there so that it can go down a bit further. Oh, come on. It would have been easier to do before we put that piece on as well. So I can push that down in now. It doesn't go all the way through. So I think what's happening there is that hole is tapered and it's stopping our plastic part going in. As I said, guys, you don't need to do all this. You can build it as per the instructions. You can do whatever you like. You'll still end up with a lovely model. I'm just trying to take this thing to the next level. Just want to make it more accurate and swap the build sequence around a little bit to make things a bit easier. We can see now that's still not going right down in. Why not? What I'm going to do is take a little bit of length off of that peg. See if that helps. Go on, down you go. Use the back of the tweezers to push it down. And it has gone down a little bit further. I think that's good enough that we can get some glue in there now anyway. So there we go. As you can see, we've now got a nice, it's meeting the floor nicely at the front. So we can get a nice strong joint in there, because we don't want to go push that light in and have it snap off. The other thing to guarantee we get a strong joint is to come along here and sand or scrape the paint away. Okay, because when you glue a part that's already painted, remember what you are doing, you are just gluing a layer of paint. So if I just put glue on there now, well, before I sanded it, I'd be gluing a layer of green paint to a layer of black paint, and that's not very strong, is it? So there. And the other thing I'm going to do is get a knife. Like I say, this would have been easier before that piece of floor was glued in. I'm going to scrape away the paint from that area. So we get metal to plastic rather than paint to paint. Okay. We can remove some of this excess super glue from here as well. Makes it easier to sand. There we go. So, are we going to get this glued in now? There we are. So what I'm tempted to do now is grab a clothes peg and see if I can clamp that down without the clothes peg flying off. I don't think I can. Can I get another one on the front bit? Nope. So I think what I'll do is get some of our black super glue, because this is just going to put a drop on there and a drop on there, and that will capillary up into that hole. And then I'm going to grab some black thin super glue. So at the end of the day, guys, if this doesn't work, we'll find out why. I'm going to run some black thin super glue down in there. I'm really hoping this does work, because I want that light to be held nice and solid, because it's going to get knocked about during the build. So glue around there. It's the neighbour's dog telling the world off. I'm going to try and get some into here and let that capillary into the gap. That's why I'm using the black thin from VMS. This can all be sanded afterwards, it doesn't matter about glue going everywhere. And I'm going to add some more up here where we've got this gap. Okay, so I'm now hoping that's going to be enough to hold that in place. It should be, because when we put that light in, we're going to be putting some pressure on it, so we've got to make sure that we've really got it solid. There we are. Right. So, take that peg off a second because I've got a feeling, yes I have, I've just clogged that hole up where the light goes. Just remove that from there. And there we are, guys. I'm not gluing at the top because it'll just break, it will just break away easily. So there we are, all done. We'll let all that dry and then we can get this top sanded down and start looking at doing some painting. And then we'll also see if we can get that light in at some point. Right, how am I going to put this? I hope the pegs just keep flying off. The thing is with this VMS glue, it's not instant setting. It's not like your standard super glue, so it needs to be clamped. I've just touched that super glue on the top as well. So I'll get some more in there. There we go. Right, see you in a minute. What I have discovered on my travels, guys, is the Tamiya paint I'm using here. This is acrylic. Doesn't stick very well to this soft vinyl-like plastic on these cockpit sides. If you're into modelling, you already have some of this MRP Fine Surface Black Primer. It's absolutely brilliant stuff. It sticks to this vinyl really well, so I would recommend it. They do it in grey, white and black. They probably do a pink as well. I'm using black purely because it's going to look great with some shadowing and stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention while I'm at it, in here we have some ejector pin marks in the metal parts. Don't worry about them because once this goes on here, like so, and you're looking down in the cockpit, as you can see, there's no way you're going to see them. So I really wouldn't worry about them. So that one there is probably going to be hidden behind the cockpit's panel anyway. That one there, I mean, you've got these unsightly marks for the windows. There's no point in hiding them when you've got those great big things there. So I really wouldn't worry about it too much. Unless, of course, you want to. If you want to worry about it a lot, then you can. You can lose as much sleep as you want over it. It's your model. So I just thought I'd let you know. Right. Back in a sec. One other thing I wanted to say about this floor while it's drying. If you want to, you can remove this block here. That supports the bombing computer, which is this part here. And that goes in, I can't remember in what step now, but it's quite late on. And that goes into there, like that. It's actually incorrect. The dambuster didn't have that for the obviously they didn't need it for the bombing computer. So they left all the bombing equipment, but they took the computer out because it was easily removable. The seat, the chest pad that's going to go in here, I was going to fit it now and paint everything green and then, you know, come along and paint the seat afterwards. I think what I'll do is leave it separate and paint the bottom of this green and then glue it in. I'm actually saying that, it's probably easier to fit it now. peg keeps flying off of there. It is probably easier to fit it now, so what we'll do is we'll fit it in and we'll put some super glue, some of the black VMS thin in the bottom. There we go. So got that in there, holding that in. That's all dry enough to support itself now, it doesn't need pegs. This here is all fictitious. To release pull ring parachute exit. I think they've got this from the what's his name, Peter Farkas book, I think it is, the actual Dam Busters book, which is beautiful, but it's all CAD images. And this is, I've seen an aircraft in a museum, it's just a nose, and it's got this on the floor. Chris sent me some pictures of it, and I think that's where he got it from, but this is actually incorrect. Down here would have been 2 cushions where the bomb aimer laid on. Now, the HK 1/32 scale model doesn't have the cushions there. The border model does. So I'm making a mould of a resin part to go in there. So we'll have the cushions in there. So I'll glue them in and then paint everything green, and then pick out the leather afterwards. So that's all going to be good. But obviously before we can do anything, we have to wait for this glue to dry so we can sand all that down. And I need to wait for the resin part before I can glue that in, before I can get any green painting done. So it's a 10-minute video for you. It's not a 10-minute video, but you know what I mean. But it's going to be a couple of days for me, because I've got to wait for the mould to cure and then make a part and then adjust it and fit it and everything. So there we go. Okay, so here's the resin piece I've made, and I'm going to cut cut that off of there. Just basically slice through it and then it should snap off. This resin's still a little soft. It's easier to work with, it's soft, but you always run the risk of distorting things. There we go, so we can cut that off of there, just like so. Cut that lump off of there, off the side, and then we can just sand the end down, sand the bottom. Always wear a mask when you're sanding resin. I'm not doing it because this is still sticky and it's not making dust, as you can see, which is a great way. What I like to do is get it out of the mould when it's just going off, and then you can cut it easily, just like you've seen me doing. And then this is going to go in there, and that's just going to sit down in there like so, approximately 4mm behind that front thing, so sort of have it sort of equidistant between the frame and there. There we go, that's in there like that. And you're not really going to see much of it, but I just think it's better than looking into that white labelling. So what I'm going to do here is just make sure this is nice and flat and no lumps and bumps. Position that down in there, and there we go. Right, so we'll grab a drop of super glue. I'm going to get the slow setting one. Here we go. This is Flexi 5KCA slow setting, and as per usual, the lid has glued itself on. That's one of the problems with this stuff. It always glues the lids on. And I'm going to get my glue applicator. Just put some. I wanted to get this out of a tube, to be honest, because just going to put plenty of that on there, and then we can place this in. In fact, I'm going to use my tweezers because I don't want to plonk it in there and drop it. So it's going to go roughly like that into there. Get it sort of squared up. That's why I'm using the slow PE, so it doesn't set instantly. He says. There we go, that'll do. It's good enough. So there we are, that's that in position. You can see the glue coming out the side, so we've got good contact. You also notice I scrapped off all the paint so that we've got super glue to metal, not super glue to paint. So we'll let that dry, and then I'm going to give that a coat of primer. I've got some bare metal there, I'm just going to prime over that. It's bare metal there, just give that a coat of black primer, and then or maybe even use grey primer, and then we'll give it all a coat of interior green. Another little thing to help with accuracy if you're sort of that way inclined. With this pedestal that the pilot seat sits on, as you can see I've painted the top black. I've also gone around the side here with the black because in reality this pedestal, it has a cutout in it, and the instrument panel sits on a stalk that comes all the way up from the floor. But the way they've modelled this, they've got it as a block, and then this goes on top. So if we just, this is the pedestal that, is it part 6 it comes in? This is, let me find the part number a minute. It comes in issue 6, this is part 06K. So what we're going to do is fit that in position, just dry fit it into that slot. Okay, just like so. That needs a bit of a relief on there because it's very, very tight. So I'm just going to scrape some paint away from there, which is quite normal for this build. It's better. Make sure it's down fully. If it's not fully down, make sure at least it's parallel to the floor. As you can see, it's got a slight angle on it this way. And then we're going to take some masking tape. And we will place, I'll use tweezers so you don't have my great big fingers in the way. We'll place the masking tape so it's parallel with that edge of part 06K. Just like so, like that. And then rub that tape down onto there. And then we'll pull that back, remove that part, fold the tape over onto the top, and then we can put our part 06K back in its little bag with the rest of the parts that come in pack number 6. We put those away. That can be folded up there. We also want to take a knife and carve away tape there, because I'm going to have the front of my pedestal green. You may wish to have yours black. If so, mask it up and have it black. I believe I would like to have it green. There we go. To be honest, it doesn't really matter because you're not really going to see much of it. And then we're going to have to mask the top. So all we can do there is take some masking tape like so, and what we would do is go along here, and now you can see that masking this along the top here is much easier than trying to mask the sides with all those lumps and bumps there. So I'll get that masked off, and then we'll get this and our floor painted in the correct, we'll paint the interior as well. I've masked off these windows and masked off the top edge there. So we'll get some green paint. Okay, so a little bit of painting for you. So we've got this pedestal here, top's all masked off. Area there that's going to stay black is masked off. So got the airbrush here mixed up with my own mix. Just check the flow. Yeah, that's fine. You just put this on, no particular pattern, just, and then if you do end up with any thin bits, you end up with like a shaded area rather than, if you sort of do this, if you're always doing stripes, which you're supposed to do, then you end up with stripes. So around the side here, just blow that in, not too important around this side because it's not going to be seen. Across the back, this side there, this side there, and then this is the most important bit. Just go in blotches. Make sure you go right over the masking tape so you get a nice hard edge. There we go. I'm using my Iwata Evolution at the moment on 15 psi. You can hear it's a little bit sticky. And then I've got some masking to do here, so I'm not going to paint that. Here I've gone over and just gone over with some black, just in case we have missed a bit, and then you'll see black through the masking rather than green. You can see I've got bubbles in my airbrush. That's indication that there's issues. There's something wrong with this airbrush. It's never been right since I got it. This is a new one, this one. And my old one, I bent the needle. I bought this one and it's just not right. It's never been right. You can see it's a little bit spattery as well. So we can just paint all these window frames in, get them done first. Obviously because they're black. And what I'm going to try and do is not go over the top edge. So the edges of those frames will stay black. And then when it comes to doing like these edges, spray like this away from the edge, and that way you won't get any green paint on the black. If you do, it doesn't matter, we just come with some IPA, remove it. But if you spray like that, just get the edges done. And this lower edge doesn't really matter because it's just alongside the Bombay, but just always spray away from the edges. Just like so, and that way you won't run into any problems. And we'll just put that down on the bench. We can just, you can hear this thing struggling. I think the needle is basically off center to the cap, so it's kind of doing a spiraling thing. But for matte paint like this, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter at all. But if it was a car body or something, then it would be a different story. Or even like, you know, the exterior of an aircraft. But in here, it's all getting covered up with that framework. I'm not going to worry about it for now. I need to sort it. I'm not just going to carry on using it, but there we go. So I'm going to get some masking done on here. I'm going to mask off this area here. And this is the only model I've ever seen that has that. So well done, Hachette. And I'm also going to mask off that box, because that there is the glycol box. And it's black. It also acts as a step, so they can step down onto it. So I'm going to mask that off, I'm going to mask that off, and then if we have to, we can touch in afterwards with a brush. So I'll see you back in a minute when I've got all that done. Okay, so I've masked up the box, which is fine. I've masked up this. I'm not sure how good that's going to look, because it's horrible. So what I'm going to do is just basically blow some green paint around it, blow it dry. And then we're going to lift the tape off, see how it looks. And if it doesn't look any good, we'll just paint over the whole thing, and then we'll brush paint the detail in afterwards. Yeah, as I said, I don't like that at all. So what we'll do is we'll brush paint it in afterwards, or even mask around it and paint it black. But I don't like that. It's the same as with Hachette. It's very soft edges. I mean, not that it really matters. It's way down there. You're not going to see it. It's under the table, but it's just good practice, isn't it, to get it right. So I'm going to get some more green paint in the airbrush, get this sprayed, and then I'll be back just to show you how it looks, and then we'll call it a day for this one. Okay, so there we are, that's all done. I've got to go in now, and I've got to paint that area there in black, and I've got to do these leather bits here. We can remove the masking from the glycol box. You can watch me do that. Because people like to see unmasking for some reason. I think it's I think people must find it therapeutic or something. There's that piece off, and then we can flick up one of these edges. Just find something to grab. Hopefully that black paint was dry enough when I put this on. It's not just going to peel it all off now. It's gone down. And there we go, you can see we've got the box in there now in black. We'll drop our parachute in next to it, adds a little bit of interest in there. And as you can see, with that frame in and with all that super glue around the base, it's all sort of blended in now. And make sure, if you are doing this, make sure you get in there with your paint, get the areas inside the window. You know, it's great to have as much of this green showing as you can, because it really is. If you look at some pictures on the Wingnut Wings website, I'm not going to put one up now because of copyright, but there's some pictures on there looking in the nose, and you will see on there, you know, the bright green coming through. Now this green, as I've mentioned before, is my own mix. A lot of people use Tamiya XF71, which is darker, as you can see, and these paints actually dry darker. This is very close to what Hachette have used on the model as standard. People use this. It used to be called Japanese. It used to be called cockpit green. The Japanese Air Force. Can't think what they were called now. Never mind. But yeah, but then they just changed it to cockpit green, and people just assumed it was cockpit green. It's not. It's too dark, especially for models. Now it may very, very closely match the real colour, but when you start getting like cockpits of 48 scale Spitfires and stuff like that, it just looks so dark in there. So that's why I do this, and I make a mix of 50% XF71 with 50% XF21, which is Sky, and then 50-50 with Mr. Colour Leveling Thinners. Okay, that's a lacquer thinner, and it makes it go down and level and stick to anything really, really well and dry really hard. So that's why I use that thinner. You don't have to, but I do because it makes it very durable. But that's that all done now. And as you can see, this area up here, we had a great big join. If you remember, I said all I cared about was this area here. So you can see we've got a slight line there, but that's going underneath that pedestal. It doesn't matter at all. But over here where it matters, it's just seamless, which is what I was after. So there we are. I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you think it's improving it. Oh, one other thing, somebody was asking, is this colour appropriate for other aircraft? Yes, I think all World War II period aircraft had this colour. But be careful with your early Spitfires because they had a supermarine green, which was like an apple green. And I think very early aircraft, some had aluminium paint on the inside as well. Not bare aluminium, they had aluminium paint. So check your references, but certainly sort of, 41 onwards, I think you're safe with anything on this, with this colour. So there we go. So hope you enjoyed that. And I'll see you all soon. Maybe you'd like to see this unmasked as well. There we go. And that will in turn lift up the masking on the top. There we are. So we can see now we've got our lovely black platform and we've got our black side there, which looks more realistic. There we are. We are going to be doing some oiling, adding some oils to enhance detail and stuff. But that'll be at a later date. Okay, so thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. And I'll see you all soon for part 4, where we'll get this finished, and then we're going to get stuck into pack 5, which is going to be lots and lots of work. That's probably going to be 2 videos, that one, because I really want to show you how to do it all, or how I do it all. I know Scott wants to know, Scott from Building with the Boys, he wants to know how to modify the seat belts, because it does, to make it look better. So we'll show you that in detail. Or we may add some aftermarket seat belts, we shall see. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.